we have to be very careful to understand the packaging, not only pointing out the packaging as the worst climate enemies in the world. I think that is the wrong way to see it.
Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Sustainability Perspectives podcast, where we hear from thought leaders in the packaging industry about sustainability challenges and solutions in the sector. Today, we're going to take a look at food packaging and in particular the takeaway sector, and we'll explore how food packaging has been evolving from single-use to more complex context-driven sustainability strategy. And we'll do this together with Niklas Lowell, who is Chief Officer for the Business Area Food Packaging Solutions at Duni Group. And with growing pressures around reuse, recycling and composting, we'll discuss why no single solution fits all and how infrastructure, consumer behavior and operational realities shape what works, looking at closed-loop reuse systems and scalable recyclable formats. So, with that, welcome, Niklas. Thank you for being here. It's great to have you on the podcast today.
Thank you very much for having me here. I'm happy to talk to you today.
To get us started, to set the scene, could you tell me a bit more about who and what Duni Group is and what the company does?
Duni Group basically is a stock market company in Sweden, and we have been around in the business for over 75 years. And we operate in over 50 markets worldwide, and we have the headquarters in Malmö in Sweden, and we have production units across Europe and Asia. We have a portfolio where we have our most well-known brand, Duni. We also have Relevo, which is a reusable company in Germany, and we also have Duniform, which is a food company in Europe. And then we also have Biopack, which has the biggest headquarters in Australia. So we have tailored solution for different customer needs, and mainly is for HoReCa, but also the production food industry. But in food packaging, our role, which I will talk about, we have two different business areas in the company. One is the dining solution, where we look more around the table to try to create a good food mood for the customer, where napkins is our flagship. And then we have food packaging, where we are talking about takeaway food, but also food to prepare at home. And we are trying to drive the transformation towards a circular system. And we have said from the beginning, we don't really care if it's reusable, recyclable, or compostable. We want to do the best for the market and that occasion. And I will come back to that later, I think, in the discussion with you. But I think it's important to understand that we are not choosing one way. We try to be the best supplier for everyone, and especially for the climate.
Yes, that agnosticism sounds like a good approach. And I was keen to find out a bit more about how you see the company's role within the food packaging industry.
And basically, we are an international company, and we also are, as you know, there is something called PPWR, which is a very good initiative from the European Union. But it also creates some complexity for a global company when you have one rules, but you have thousands of implementation strategy. And I think that is one of our biggest challenge, and we try to be good. We don't see that there is that many food packaging company who can do takeaway, who can do the full range we do, and also adapt to every country's regulation and needs. And we have different brands, and we have been in the business for 75 years, so we are not a startup. I think we know our market pretty well. And as I said in the beginning, we have single use, we have circular and reusable systems, but also now we have launched a compost system, which is also very good, I think, to take care of the trash, but also the food waste. Food packaging is basically a strategic area for the company, but also where we combine functionality, we design our own products, and we take responsibility for environmental questions, because I think we were one of the first, 2015 already, to did the plastic switch. So already when all the different legislation was on the table, we were one of the first who did this in Europe and also Australia. And now we are one of the first who go in and say that we work with PFAS-free. We don't have any products added PFAS at all since last summer. And that will be very important for the customer next year to the summer.
Obviously, the food packaging and takeaway packaging is quite a challenging sector because there's lots to bear in mind when developing packaging for that area. And I wanted to hear your thoughts on the functional challenges that need to be overcome, particularly in takeaway packaging.
Yeah, there's lots of challenge. I think, but the first challenge, I think everyone need to understand, why do we have packaging? I think the Duni Group, we are not doing packaging, just doing packaging. We are saying that we should be the food's best friend because it's important to take care of the food. There is not enough food in the world, so we have to be careful with the food we actually have. And to take care of food, transport takeaway food, or food to produce or eat at home, you need a packaging. But I think up till now, the packaging have been the last thing you're thinking about. Something oh shit, we need a packaging as well. But I haven't seen that many people running around in the city with meats in the hands. They still have a packaging. And I think you have to be more careful when we do the calculation. We are putting a lot of efforts into do the best meal in the world, and then we don't care about the packaging. So that is the last thing the customers see, and also the first thing they meet at home before they taste the food. So I think it's important more that we are going in more to discuss not only have the cheapest, worst product in the world, we should have the best product in the world for the food, and also with the right chemicals, so we are not hurting the people more than we should.
Speaking of challenges, what would you say is the biggest challenge facing the food packaging industry and today from a sustainability perspective?
I think it's about that we have started discussing if it's plastic or if it's fiber or whatever it is. I think the most important thing is that how can we take care of the trash? I think we need to figure out first, if plastic is the best way to circulate, we should use plastic. But we don't necessarily need to use virgin plastic. We could definitely use reusable plastic or recyclable plastic. But I think it's also that if you look, as I said in your previous question, that if you don't see packaging as an important part of the total product, then I think that is the biggest challenge, because then you end up with shitty products, more or less. And that is not good for the environment. And now we are saying that less material is better. And then we put some fees on the weight in some countries, which means that, less material could be very bad plastic or fiber. I think we need to be more cautious about what kind of material are we using to carry food, which we then put in our mouth. So I think people should be, I think also the end customer, you and I, when we eat, we should be more interested in what kind of packaging do we actually eat from. And because there is PFAS all over the world today, it's in the water in some countries, it is in the cosmetics in some countries. I think we should try to limit the number of PFAS milligram we are putting in our bodies. And then we should definitely make sure that the product we have is PFAS free. And also that the product can take care of the products and prolong the shelf life, which means that we are not throwing too much food away. We are throwing too much food away. I think we throw more foods than actually there are people who need food. So we have to be very careful to understand the packaging, not only pointing out the packaging as the worst climate enemies in the world. I think that is the wrong way to see it. So we should not let anyone telling us that, hey, if we take out all the products, then the world will be better. No. Let's make sure that we take care of the food, make sure that we have better packaging, and then they need to cost something. I think we are attacking the whole food packaging industry in the wrong angle. And then I don't say that we shouldn't take our responsibility. And I think we have done a lot. We have come much, much longer than the car industry, for example, or the computer industry, the glass industry. We are doing a lot. We can do more, but we shouldn't be penalties.
You mentioned at the beginning of the podcast that you offer both reusable and recyclable packaging. Why did you decide as a company not to just choose one path?
I'm happy we didn't, because if we have chosen only reusable, we should be dead. Because of the market, there is lots of very good system for reusable in the market globally, but there is no customer. It's less than 1% of the people using reusable products, and mainly in closed environment. If you still take a coffee cup, for example, from paper, it's probably one of the most fantastic, smartest invention you have done for the human to be on the go all the way. You bring the coffee with you, you can bring it wherever you can have a coffee wherever you are. That has only lifted the whole coffee industry, basically. People drink more coffee than they and tea and smoothie or whatever it is. So for us, it has been very, very important to be in both areas. And then instead of say, hey, we are reusable, we are recyclable. No. We are adaptable. We know exactly which customer we have and also what occasion they need the product. And if you take a festival, for example, I think all the drinking products, they could have reusable. But when you come to the food, it's complex to take care of. It will be very dirty. It will be very messy at the moment. Then I think there should be some recyclable products. So you can take them back and you can do something else with them. But for us, that was directly, we said we shouldn't choose. We need to see when do you need the different products and how can these products be the best for the environment in different occasions, but also what is best for the consumer. Because if you are not convenience, no one will use your products. And that is one of the biggest challenge for the reusable business, together with the infrastructure. And then we also now add on where we see that composting in a machine where you put food waste and compostable products in the same areas the day after you have soil. And then you can use that to grow other things.
So it sounds like good practice to find the right solution for the right environment. And I wanted to zoom in a bit on the reuse challenges that you mentioned. It is obviously often seen as the future, but what would you say does it take to make it work in practice?
I think the idea from the government is good, but it's nothing new. When I was young, 50 years ago, something like that, that was also reusable. On the outdoor terrace, they had reusable, but they removed it because they look so dirty after a 10, 15 washing. Today, the product is better, and it's also better plastic. But if you just say that everyone needs to be reusable, and then you start putting a lots of fees on different municipalities or supplier or consumer, then you are actually pushing people into a corner without, as a government, saying that, yeah, let's help you with the infrastructure or let's help you with other investments. Now we need to take the investments in material, which is very expensive. And you also need to have different way of working in every country. That's also expensive. You need to make sure that you can navigate in all the different legislations. Instead of working together with the business, the government is only pushing it over to us, and then they say, you have to do it, otherwise we will do this and this and this. And I think it's good to put pressure, but you should not take the industry as a hostage. Then I think that is the biggest problem. There is no idea from the government how this should work. They have only said that you should do. And I think that is the absolute biggest mistake, because we have totally forgot that the consumer wants convenience. And we have seen in countries where they are trying out, saying that if you buy a coffee cup in single use, you have to pay €1. If you take the reusable cup, you get it for free. But people is still using the one they have to pay €1 for because of the convenience. It's not about the product, it's not about the system. It's about the convenience, and there is no infrastructure.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. I think people still value their convenience quite highly. And I think even the ones who also value sustainability, I think in the moment it can be easier to choose the easy option for sure.
Yeah.
Let's get towards the end of our discussion today. I wanted to hear your thoughts on what needs to happen for all circular solutions like reuse, recycling, and composting to become the norm rather than the exception.
I think, first of all, we should never put it against each other. We should again go back, because if you want to convince people, you need to understand people. And the product we do is for the food and the people. And it's also convenience. And if you don't understand that, you just do some legislations and then push it out, you will not get anyone to follow you. So I think the first is that the whole business, every companies need to cooperate, because you cannot have 10,000 different reusable systems. That will not work. You need to find some common solution, and you also need the government to be involved. If they really want 2028 us to be more reusable than we are today, then it's time to step up. It's not only up to the industry, because the industry do a lot. But the only thing we see that we will be killed of all these cheap products in the market. And at the end, in a quite weak economy in Europe, people choose from the money and not from the environment at the moment. So I think a lot of people need to cooperate here, everything from the government down to the industry, down to the consumer. And we have to start making campaigns where we explain why, but we also need to tell them how. And if we do that together, I think we will hit one of the targets we have in 28 and 2030. But there is a lot of work to do. It's not only a paper we can wave with. We need to do it together in real.
Thank you. It's great to hear your take on this, and obviously collaboration is key, and hopefully we'll see a lot more of that. We're always very keen to keep the conversation going on this. That brings us to the end of today's podcast, and just leaves me to say thank you very much for being here today, Niklas.
Thank you very much, Elisabeth, and have a really good afternoon.
Thank you. You too. To all of our listeners, please make sure to subscribe to our podcast on whatever platform you might be listening to so you don't miss out on any of the latest episodes. Thank you very much.